The Steelers are on the clock.
There's a pool of people coming into the National Football League, and it's our job to know them.
This draft class is loaded.
I seen that 412 popped up. I said, okay, this is the call.
The Steelers are on the clock. What do you think they're going to do right here?
The Pittsburgh Steelers select.
We're about to make you a Pittsburgh Steeler, brother. Congratulations to you and your family.
Hi everybody, I'm Missy Matthews and welcome to the 2025 Draft Countdown Show presented by UPMC. I'm inside the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex here on the south side of Pittsburgh. Right above us though is the Steelers War Room, and in just about 30 minutes things will get started in Green Bay where the NFL Draft is taking place. All of the work has been done. The big boards have been set. Now it's just a matter of which players will be coming to Pittsburgh throughout this weekend. Let's take a look at the Steelers' 6 selections that they have over the next 3 days. The first one happening tonight with the 21st overall picks. One the Steelers are familiar with. Hall of Famer Lynn Swann came at pick number 21. As you see, no second round pick. That went to Seattle in the DK Metcalf trade. So for day 2 so far, just a round 3 pick, followed by the last 4 happening on the last day of the draft. But tonight, it's the first one. The commissioner will be announcing the names. They might be walking up to the podium and getting that hug. And we want to hear from you, the fans. Who do you want to see the Steelers select with that 21st overall pick? I posted on X earlier today to get some responses. You still have time to let us know who you would like to see them take. And then that way you can maybe find out later in our show if you will be featured with who you want the Steelers to select 21st overall. Someone who will have a hand in that decision, of course, is GM Omar Khan. We had a chance to hear from him and Coach Tomlin earlier this week. And I also had a chance to go one-on-one with Omar to find out about the process to get to this point and also much more. Take a look. Omar, pretty much when one draft ends, you start on the next, maybe even longer working for this one. What is that process like for you personally, and is there a favorite part for you?
Favorite part, it's a good question. I'd say just the people I do it with, it's great. You know, we enjoy the process. We have a good time. You know, Coach T and his group, and then obviously my group with Andy and Dan Colbert and Mark Sadowski and the rest of the guys. We have such a good time through the process. A lot of work, you know, a lot of hours. But I think for me, I just love the people I do it with, and that's what keeps it exciting. How
would you describe this final push, the final week heading into a draft? What's that like?
You know, we're all dealing with hypotheticals. You know, we're sitting back trying to figure out what the other 20 teams are trying to do, just like everyone else at home is, and you know, all the media and all the mocks. You know, we're going through the same thing, and you know, we're trying to be mind readers like the rest of the world. The first day of the draft on Thursday, how early do you get to the building, and what are those final few hours as everybody, there's nothing you can do, you're just waiting. We're just waiting like everybody else, you know. Hopefully when you get to Thursday, you feel prepared and ready to go, and you know, we've always had, and we're just waiting like everyone else. You know, I want to say I'll get there at mid-morning, but usually I wake up so early that I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna get up and go, and that's how it goes. After we're moved past free agency, when you look at your roster, what positions or needs do you feel like you need to address this weekend? You know, if there's anything specific, but we go to camp with 90 guys. You know, I think we're in the mid-70s right now, and you know, it's a mix of holes at different positions, and so we'll just see how it all plays out. Mr. Rooney said at the end of the season that the quarterback position is kind of that key piece of the puzzle, top priority. How would you assess it as we sit here today going into the draft, and how do you view it in terms of what you need to do? Sure. So we go to camp, you know, when we go to Latrobe, we'll be there with 4 quarterbacks. Right now we have 2. So we have two positions open, and I'm confident we'll have 4 quarterbacks by the time we get to Latrobe. You know, and all options are open right now, Missy. You know, we could trade for a player or quarterback. We could sign one that's a free agent, or we could address it this weekend. Or a combination of those. But I'm confident we'll be in a good position by the time we get there. How does Aaron Rodgers' most recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show impact what you guys do in the draft? Yeah, I wouldn't say it really doesn't really impact what we do in the draft. We've obviously had conversations in public, and he knows how we feel, and we know how he feels, and we've obviously the conversations have continued. But like I mentioned, we have 2 quarterbacks under contract right now, and we have 2 more to acquire, and we'll go through the process.
You, and especially Coach Tomlin, you're kind of everywhere during this process, whether it's pro days, different things like that. But the pre-draft visits where you guys get to bring guys here to Pittsburgh, Broderick Jones, Troy Patano, both guys were in this building before you took them in the first round. Why was it important to have them here in Pittsburgh? It's
just part of the process. Sometimes you have some questions, or you didn't get enough time with them in Indy or in Mobile, and if you have the opportunity to bring them in, and it makes sense to do so, get to know them a little bit better, and sometimes you put them with the coaches, let them see what they think, and so that's just an opportunity for maybe not necessarily coach and I to get to know the player, but have other people in the organization to interact with them and give us their feedback on what they think.
In terms of the draft, 6 picks as we sit here today, none in the second round because of the DK Metcalf trade. Are you comfortable with just 6, or do you want to acquire some more draft capital?
Very comfortable. We have DK, I'll say that. And we have 6, and at this point, we'd love to have 50 picks.
Sure.
This is a good draft. There's some good players that can help us, and if there's an opportunity and makes sense for us to acquire more picks, we'll certainly do that, not only in the first round, but in other rounds. But I've always taken the approach that, we're never going to trade away from a really good player that can help us. So, we'll see where it goes.
In terms of the communication with you, your staff, and other teams, how does that work during a draft weekend?
Those conversations have already begun. It's obviously it's a small group of 32 GMs, and we've already been communicating. I'm not sure how honest we're all being to each other, but we're communicating, have a feel for what other people want to do, whether to move up, down, stand pat, and we'll see. Again, there's so many different things can happen. We're at 21, and we're at the mercy of what the other 20 teams are going to do ahead of us, and we'll see. All we can do is be prepared, and I think we're there.
Come Saturday night, maybe 8, 9 o'clock, when you guys are done with some of the undrafted guys, what would a successful Steelers draft weekend look like to you?
I think time will tell on that. I mean, obviously acquire good players, but time will tell, how these guys do. But our ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. So I think the way I judge it is, eventually, being a general manager, I haven't won that Super Bowl yet, and I'll judge it by how many rings, we're able to get.
All right, thanks and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Missy. Appreciate it.
All right, and thanks again once to Omar for his time sitting down. We'll hear from him and Coach Tomlin after the Steelers make their pick in the first round, 21st overall. And we had a chance to hear from you, the fans, who you want to see them take. There's been tons of mock drafts. We'll get to one coming up in just a little bit. But here are just some of your answers and who you would like to see be wearing the black and gold after this weekend. Specifically tonight, thanks to everybody for submitting all of your answers. We will find out shortly, maybe a little bit longer, since we're waiting till number 21 to find out when that will happen. Well, last night, the latest episode of The Standard dropped on the Steelers YouTube page. Of course, as the Steelers get ready for the draft, it followed throughout that entire process and free agency and showed why football is family to the Steelers organization, especially when it comes to the Weidl brothers. Take a look.
How many comments is this for you, Andy?
I think this is 27. 1999 probably was my first one. I was an intern here.
How many now for you?
I think I'm one ahead of Andy because he was our intern in 99 and my first full year was 98.
It's changed a lot.
Oh, it's evolved so much. Coming from the Dome, the facility we're in now, which is a great facility, the TV coverage, the social media coverage, it's grown so much.
I remember being in Indiana coming up, getting the paper pass. You can get the paper pass and sneak into the Dome.
I remember some of the older scouts back then, they talked about televising the combine and they were so pissed off. They were kind of like, oh, that's going to ruin it and all this kind of stuff.
Right. Never. It'll never happen.
Right.
Uh-huh.
The combine has gone through a lot of change. But what hasn't is the Steelers' appreciation for family. And that admiration has extended to another football family from the South Hills of Pittsburgh.
So in the Weidl household, there is 4 boys in our family. Me and Andy make up the bookends. Andy's the oldest. I'm the youngest. Kevin, 8 years younger than Andy, he works for the Baltimore Ravens, area scout for them. And then our other brother, who's 4 years younger than Andy, he works for IT here in Pittsburgh. 16 years straight, though, was a Weidl in the Mount Lebanon High School. When one graduated, one entered as a freshman.
Whether it's playing sports in the backyard, in the driveway, anything in the house, games we played, whether it be a Sega Genesis or any kind of board game, it was always competitive and fun, whether it was playing, with us or other kids in the neighborhood. We're always playing sports and always competing. Friends over the house too, guys.
Oh yeah, our mom loved to cook for them.
Backyard football games, basketball in the driveway.
Kevin bit his tongue the one time.
Yeah, there was many trip to St. Clair Hospital.
St. Clair Hospital.
Quite a few of those, and he was the one I think that had the most trips.
Yeah, he had a lot.
Number 51, Kevin Weidl.
Well, football was just, we grew up in Mount Lebanon, and it was big. It was a great program, and I remember going to games when I was in grade school. My dad took me to one of the first games, a night game up there. It was the first time seeing it. Just grew up following it, and then I played in high school, and my brothers came to my games, and then we would go to each other's games.
Every sporting event, whatever it was, I was at Andy's, I was at Kevin's, I was at Brennan's. My dad would put me in the car. I was 6 years old. We'd go to Villanova for the day. And on Saturdays, Friday nights were Mount Lebanon for my other brother.
When I was at Villanova, I'd come home and see my brother play here. My brother Kevin, they won the Whitfield Championship in one of the last games played at Three River Stadium.
Field goals in the whole season. Oh, no! Snap! He's going to throw the ball. Intercepted. No! Bounces around. Oh, I don't believe it.
It's just been a kind of a way of life for us growing up.
One of my early memories of football, too, I was at the AFC Championship game against the Colts. When that Hail Mary went up, I couldn't see. I was really little. I was standing on the thing, and I thought he caught it. I thought he caught that Hail Mary when the ball dropped and the referees, no.
Yeah, rolled over.
No. That's what I remember. I just remember being a kid and I couldn't see it. I just saw the crowd's reaction.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool.
I went to a game at Pitt Stadium. It must have been '69 because Joe Green was there. I just remember my uncle turning back and looking at me and saying, wow, this guy is really good. I think the biggest memory was the Immaculate Reception.
Bradshaw running out of the pocket, fires it downfield, and there's a collision. It's caught out of the air.
I turned my chair face away from the field. I was so pissed off. And all of a sudden my mom goes, look, Dan, Franco has the ball. And I burst into tears. It was the most craziest play or whatever I've ever read.
It's awesome.
I think the first game I went to was the Steelers versus the Baltimore Colts. And I think I was 5 or 6 years old, and it was snowing. I was sitting in the lower bowl. I remember Mom's like, you better wear 2 pairs of socks. And I think John Stallworth had a big day. I just remember him making a couple catches and the crowd going crazy, and the Steelers won that day. But that, and then going to training camp when I was young. My dad and my uncle were standing on the hillside with them, and the first 2 guys I saw come down the hill were Jack Lambert and Joe Green. You remember certain images, they stick with you. That's one you don't forget. They had those old cloth training camp jerseys.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I mean, they just looked, they're bigger than life. Those are 2 memories growing up that really stuck with me along the way.
All right, make sure you head to the Steelers YouTube page to watch the full episode of The Standard at some point throughout draft weekend. But we do want to tell you about Yin's Chat's 2025 Draft Challenge. It is live and you have a chance to win some great prizes. You can play through Saturday by answering draft-related predictive questions for a chance to win daily autographed items and also eligible to win the grand prize, a helmet signed by the Steelers 2025 first-round draft pick. Just download the Steelers official mobile app to get things started. All right, well, you have probably done your own mock drafts and read a ton of mock drafts, but we have one final mock draft for you coming from our Triple Take crew, Mike Pursuta, Dale Lally, and Matt Williamson. Triv, let's send it over to you.
Thanks, Missy. This is indeed the final mock. Guys, I feel like we should have a moment of silence or something to commemorate the occasion. Yeah. We've been doing this, since January in one form or another. This is it, Dale.
Yeah, it's a tear in my eye. I don't know if you can see this or not on camera, but not really. I'm ready for this thing to happen. Like, let's do this for real, but we're going to do it kind of real.
Mock till you drop, man. Let's go.
For
I'm
those
ready to do it.
For those about to mock, we salute you.
Mock of ages.
We are doing this one just a little bit different. We like to try to change up the format as the process plays out. And for this final mock, we're going to go through the entire first round. And instead of the entire league getting to decide team by team who they select, we're going to handle that for the entirety of the National Football League. I'm going to do the first pick. Dale's going to do the second. Matt's going to do the third, and so on until we get through the first round. So without further ado, let's get to it with the first overall selection. The Tennessee Titans select, dramatic pause, Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami.
Couldn't believe he was still on the board.
Shocker.
Worst kept secret over the last couple of weeks. That's going to be the guy.
Not sure how this is going to line up after this pick, but I feel pretty comfortable about this one.
The first couple, I think, are pretty chalky from here.
Cleveland would then take Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver out of Colorado. They're going to play him at wide receiver.
Honestly, I would think he'd play more receiver for the Browns. It's not really a need for the Giants, but he's the best player available. I'm going with Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State.
Yeah, you got to do it. If I was Cleveland, I'd think long and hard about doing that at second.
Putting him with Garrett would be pretty
it
scary.
Seems like a match made in heaven,
Yep.
but Travis Hunter, pretty good player. New England is up fourth, and I'm going to keep it simple. The Patriots select offensive tackle Will Campbell, LSU. Thank God he hit that 33-inch arm thing, because now they can take him fourth overall. They don't have to worry about moving him to guard. Down.
Absolutely. I'm going to throw a little curveball here, and at 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars take Ashton Jeanty.
Okay. It's been a hot rumor lately.
Running back out of Boise State.
Not totally shocked.
The Raiders are good. Not happy about that.
No, I think I probably would have went that direction. I'm going to go O-line, and this isn't necessarily a pick I would make, but it's been really hot of late. I'm taking Texas tackle Kelvin Banks here at number 6.
Wow.
I know that seems early, but there is a lot of buzz that he is going in the top 10, and I'm starting to believe it.
That is a little bit of a curveball, and I've got the Jets at 7. I think they're going to go tackle as well. Let's make it Armand Membo, offensive tackle, University of Missouri, or as they like to say, Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that makes things interesting for the Carolina Panthers, who are now on the clock. You know, I think right now the idea is you go tackle here. I think you take a defensive tackle. I am going to throw another curveball. Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss.
Totally get it, and supposedly they've done a lot of work on Walter Nolan, so I could totally understand it. I think he was both of our first defensive tackle on our list. So we got the Saints here. They also could go a lot of different directions. I was thinking about a big edge to kind of learn from Cameron Jordan, but I think you got to get the quarterback out of the way, and they've been linked really heavy to Jackson Dart. I'm taking him here at 9.
That leads me to the Bears at number 10. I think the Bears can go a number of ways here with Jeanty off the board. I think I'm going to revert to defensive tackle. I agree with you guys. I would go Nolan before Graham from Michigan, but I think the Bears are going to be happy with Mason Graham at number 10.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, so 2 defensive tackles in the top 10 picks, and San Francisco not happy about that. That was certainly somewhere where they could go. I'm going to go Shamar Stewart there.
Okay.
A little curveball again. Maybe there's some other guys that are rated higher right now and have more production in college, but he kind of fits the mold of what they like.
You're trusting your D-line coach to develop them.
And they're not afraid of those upside guys.
No, they're not.
And it's kind of a trend, Matt, maybe that production isn't quite the necessary that it used to be.
Especially with edge defenders.
The way they evaluate
really want
these guys now,
athletes,
it's physical skill set. And
rushing the passer at the college level is a lot different than the pro level, too. There's so many
bubble
screens and getting it out, and their responsibilities can be different. I'm up here with Dallas, and they also could go a lot of directions, but I think another pass catcher is absolutely in play. I'm kind of torn between Golden and Tet McMillan, but I'm going to go with McMillan, the bigger body.
That feels like a Cowboys kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they want some splash.
Right.
They need another one. Miami is up next. The Dolphins at 13th overall. A number of ways to go here as well, but one of my favorite players, cornerback out of the Ohio State University, Jahdae Barron.
You mean Texas?
Texas, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He distinguished himself to me against the Ohio State University
yeah.
when they didn't win the playoff game, but he covered Jeremiah Smith.
You could have gone with Will Johnson there too. He's done some good things against
Barron will do
the
a lot
Ohio
for them,
State, but Barron's a really good football player. You know, everybody has the Indianapolis Colts, who are up at 14, taking a tight end here.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
I am going to go a little different here.
Wow.
And I am going to have the Indianapolis Colts taking Nick Emuari, safety out of South Carolina.
That is an interesting dude. And Matt, we were talking a second ago about maybe production's not.
The traits are insane.
The must-have that it used to be. Those traits, what a great way to put it. Those traits are insane.
100%.
He's a freak.
He's a freak. So I am up here for the Falcons. And how about this insane stat? So over the last 5 years, the Steelers have the most sacks in the league. The Falcons have the last.
Yes.
Over the last 10 years, the Steelers have the most sacks in the league. The Falcons have the last.
Yes.
Over the last 20 years, the Steelers have the most sacks in the league.
Who has least?
The Falcons.
Yeah.
They're taking Jalen Walker, edge rusher, Georgia, trying to help that problem, keep him in Georgia.
Well, I was wondering when we were going to get around to getting that guy off the board.
Yeah, I bet he goes earlier than that, but who knows?
I've got the Arizona Cardinals, and OT is a concern here for Arizona. Edge is a concern here. I like the other Georgia guy, Michael Williams.
Yeah, I thought about him too.
We're going to go ahead and get him off the board. Run on Georgia defenders, never a bad thing.
The Cincinnati Bengals keep the edge rusher run going on. I got them taking Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall. Keep him close to home.
So Seattle, I think, really needs to go offense. You know, they traded away DK Metcalf. They traded away Geno Smith. They got a bunch of picks. So he's not a direct replacement, but I'm going to go with Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, to be the DK Metcalf replacement.
Interesting. That takes us to 19. I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going to go with a pick that has come up often in our mocks for Tampa, particularly on my end. Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Roll Tide, High Tide, University of Alabama.
Okay. That now brings us to
Denver at number 20, Dale.
The Denver Broncos. And I am going to go running back here.
Okay.
Omarion Hampton.
Hampton?
Running back from North Carolina.
I totally get that. That puts a lot of pressure on me for the Steelers here. Nolan's off the board. I think defensive tackle's the way to go. I am going with Derek Harmon from Oregon.
I think you know what you're getting with him.
Very active.
And
learn from Cam Hayward.
It's clearly a need for the Steelers, Derek Harmon. That takes us to the Los Angeles Chargers, number 22 overall. Ty Warren is still on our board, right?
Both tight ends.
Both tight ends is shocking.
Well,
I wanted to take them.
Given who coaches the Chargers, which one do you think they're going to take? I'll tell you who they're going to take. They're going to take the one from the University of Michigan, Colston Loveland. Green Bay, Dale, is up next.
Green Bay, I think, goes cornerback here.
Will Johnson
and they
still
take
available?
Will Johnson.
Yeah,
Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. We'll see what happens with Alexander there. Jair Alexander, been in and out of the lineup a lot. They do like to. They've taken Michigan defenders in the past. I think that works out well for them.
I like it. I am taking Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Playing him at guard. Minnesota did a lot with their O-line, but they have one more spot to fill. I was going to take Will Johnson. I was strongly leaning towards the secondary there, but I'm going to take the guard and go defense after this.
That brings us to Houston at 25th overall.
Houston, we have a problem?
No, we don't, because there's a lot of guys here that are still very intriguing. I'm torn. I really love Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. I think he is undervalued, and he's valued pretty high. But given the climate in Houston, I'm going to go Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. Again, High Tide, Roll Tide, Los Angeles Rams.
The Los Angeles Rams. And
Warren's still sitting there?
Warren is still sitting there.
I don't know that Warren could get much farther.
He can't fall any farther.
And he's going to get drafted in this, pretty high.
They're not great there, and I think Tyler Warren would make a lot of sense, the tight end at Penn State. I can't believe he probably doesn't go.
Still there.
He probably doesn't go this low. But everywhere,
He's going to go in
every
the first
pick,
round.
every pick that we made has made sense.
Matt, that takes you to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
27th.
I was strongly considering Booker. I was going to grab Warren. All three of their tight ends are free agents after this year. They're just kind of a best available type of team. But their edge pass rush could use a little jolt. I'm going to go with James Pierce from Tennessee.
Interesting.
And that takes me to Detroit. I think we're thinking defense here as well, based on all the problems that the Lions had last year, staying healthy and keeping the defense together. Again, my guy Buka's still there, but he doesn't play defense. How about Donovan Ezraku, edge?
I could Very nice player.
Boston College.
Yeah, like him a lot. Very good player. That brings us to Washington, and I think that's the way I'm going to go. Trey Amos, cornerback, Ole Miss for the Washington Commanders. They can go a second-round wide receiver. They do have Deebo Samuel there as well. Egbuka continues to slip a little bit.
All right, that brings me to the Bills. The Bills, pretty much for the last 10 years, have had an exceptional pair of safeties, and now they've both moved on. I think they grabbed Malachi Starks out of Georgia here to get back into that mood.
I think they run that card.
Yeah, I think that's a really good fit.
Buffalo would be quite happy with that.
I think so. Solid plug and play. I mean, they drafted one last year.
He's probably not safety one, but he's not far from it.
Right, I agree.
And that takes us to Kansas City. I don't know if you guys saw the Super Bowl or not. There were some offensive line issues.
Patrick Mahomes is having nightmares about that one.
I like Josh Simmons out of the Ohio State University.
I think they would be ecstatic if that was the situation.
And it very well might, given his recent history.
Let me check one thing here, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe this guy is still available if I have.
Well, you've got this down. This is the second or third time.
Mason Taylor, they got Kenneth Grant available, Connerly. I mean, are they going to go to the line of scrimmage? Are they going to go corner?
I mean, for the
there's a chance
Philadelphia
Goddard
Eagles,
gets moved on.
there's so much available here that they could take, and man, I honestly think that they could go a lot of different ways here.
Maybe develop Grant, or just take a really athletic tackle and Connerly and just figure out what to do with them.
I think Grant makes a ton of sense here.
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant makes a ton of sense here, because are you going to pick up the fifth-year option on
Davis?
On Davis, probably
Made
not.
to order.
Yeah.
I mean, and now you
fill him
compare
right
him
in.
with
Yeah.
Carter.
I really like that guy.
It just makes too much sense for them to pass on
That
him.
it's a Philly guy.
I almost took him at 21 for the Steelers. So
I mean, I think we probably hit it right on the head in terms of what we think these teams not only need but like. Probably about 25 times here.
Yeah, there's still a lot of good players on
We
the
got
board.
27 players right in last year's draft, guys, in terms of guys who were first-round picks. Maybe we get there this year, maybe we don't. But
I think it's harder this year.
It's really harder.
Yeah.
I mean, this was very difficult, extremely difficult.
There's still
Can't
a
let
lot of
the
really
fans
good players
do it.
on. We set a high bar last year.
It's almost as tough as playing first base for the A's.
There you go.
That's going to do it for us. The final mock is in the books. Missy, take it away.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. Thanks to Dale and Matt as well. Their final mock draft as we are getting closer and closer to the start of the 2025 NFL Draft taking place in Green Bay. After the Steelers make their pick in the first round, make sure you tune in to Steelers.com and the official Steelers YouTube page. Mike Prisuta will be joining me for instant analysis of that pick. We'll also take you upstairs so you can hear from head coach Mike Tomlin and general manager Omar Khan. That's going to do it for us currently right now inside the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. Thanks for joining us tonight. Happy day one of the draft. This has been the Draft Countdown Show presented by UPMC. We'll see you in just a little bit.